All right, with the Micah Parsons drama front and center, the Cowboys got some work in this weekend. We've got all the top plays and practice takeaways. So if you're here for that, go ahead, jump forward about 25 minutes. And yes, Micah did get active out there, but Jerry was more active, stirred the pot, name-dropping both Jay-Z and Dez Bryant, and Dez fired back like it was 2016 versus Josh Norman. Okay, we break down two major Micah questions. Is he going to miss any games? Can the Cowboys beat Philly without him? And is a trade at all possible at this point? Let's do all that. Take it away, Jan.
The only thing else I got to say is, how about them Cowboys?
All right, I'm Gavin Dawson from 105.3 The Fan. Welcome into How Bout Wow. And with me, as always, is the former all-academic SEC lineman from Kentucky, my man, New Bear Lesniewski. How the hell are you, buddy?
California daydreaming, nothing like Oxnard for football camp in August, but I'll tell you what, it feels good to be home.
Man, it feels great to be home. And there is nothing like Bet Online. If you're looking for an online sports book, maybe inside the state of Texas, it's not the easiest place to find one. The show brought to you by Bet Online, the easiest place to get money on and off for quality sports book action for your 2025 college and NFL season. Plus, they have poker on there for you as well. Okay, it is time to hit this Micah Parsons news, and just a massive weekend. Let me give you just a little bit of a flavor here real quick for what it was like in Oxnard for Saturday's practice. So no doubt the fans making it clear they do support Micah way more than Jerry, at least the ones in Oxnard. On Twitter, in our comments, I do feel there are a lot of fans that would love to see the Cowboys trade Micah Parsons right now, New Bear. I just don't know if they understand how much of an impact an all-pro one type of player like this gives you.
It's ridiculous that he's there. If this was real, if he was really serious, he wouldn't even care about the $50K a day, because they're just going to make that go away. They're going to do a deal. They're going to shake hands, and whatever he accumulates and finds, him being there is just another fake smoke signal about how unreal this thing feels in totality.
All right, let's get into it. Jerry Jones Q&A morning news captured a good portion of this ganger, and this gives you a really good updated vibe of what Jerry Jones' mindset is here as this negotiation gets ready to roll into a third week of training camp.
Did that make you angry?
Not a bit. I can't tell you how many hundreds of times I've heard that negotiation.
Jerry, what do you think of all the fans getting his name and kind of supporting him and hearing them all out there?
It was just so much louder last year walking off this field with Lamb.
Have you talked to Micah in the last 24 hours?
No.
You plan on getting with him at any time soon?
I don't get into what my plans are. It seems like that we forget that it's been less than a year, and I paid the highest been paid in the NFL to Dak, and I paid a big price for Lamb. And anybody that says I'm not interested in financially rewarding my players haven't been looking at the tea leaves. So there's always negotiation, and the negotiation is to put the best team on the field. And it's many times it's not even a question of deserving. And in today's salary cap, you've got to have either or. You can't have it all. So all these things go in.
I mean, what a great point. Sometimes it's not a matter of deserving, right? And here he's talking about Jerry Jones, the businessman, and how he's looking at the CBA. The CBA says I can use my franchise tag. It doesn't matter what you deserve. You're worth what you can negotiate. And the owners negotiated in with the NFLPA before Micah Parsons was even in the league, this franchise tag that gives them an absolute hammer in these kind of situations, New Bear. So, Jerry Jones feels like Micah Parsons is under contract, and after that, we can hit him with the franchise tag. And I guess at that point, you could not sign the tag and demand a trade. But I don't think he's going to look at it a bit differently until the words come out of Micah's mouth that I am not going to play another down for you. Then that day, maybe things could change.
You mean just out of his mouth being versus the notes app, like until he says it face to face?
I mean, I guess he could post it on social or tell it to Jerry or Steven.
Not interested in playing. I mean, he was pretty freaking clear. I got 2 points. The first one being the thing that chaps my ass the most about this situation and situations like it is when you bring up the CBA, you have to get right into the fact that when the first round picks have their 5th-year options picked up, they make more in that 5th-year option than they do in the first 4 years combined, and it's totally the team's control. And so that you played your ass off, here's your balloon payment. When they then go to the negotiating table, then everything about the next contract doubles that. The difference being that balloon payment happens year after year after year for the duration of what you are willing to sign. Semicolon. What year is this? Age 26 season, Micah Parsons. Who's his mentor? Who's the other 11? LeVar Arrington in that great line of Penn State 11s. So this is his mentor on and off the field. LeVar Arrington, All-Pro 2 twice. When did that happen? Before what? His age 26 season when his career was redefined by injury and he was never the same and he was out of the league by age 28. You're talking about Jerry Jones having the right, which he does because of what the rules, the laws, the league says. Micah Parsons being told, you go get every dollar that you can get.
Yeah, the league says you have the right to string this guy out year to year, even after putting up 4 incredible seasons like this. I mean,
no. I'm sorry. Incredible is the biggest understatement you could possibly make.
Yeah,
he
history making.
Dude, he's the only guy. You go Reggie White, Derek Thomas, J.J. Watt, T.J. Watt. Who do you want to talk about? There are lists where it's him and one of those guys, him and 2 or 3 of those guys, he's on it. Then there are lists that he is the only guy on the list. It is Micah Parsons. That is the list. I'm not even saying that as a guy who grew up in the area or who grew up with generational Cowboy fan. I'm just saying that data points beyond what my beating heart Dallas Cowboy fan might say. He's got all of it.
Yeah, it's incredible, dude. And I was going to say, it's almost as unfair as baseball's arbitration system. Like how long you have to be great for in order to be eligible to make the life-changing top-end money as an NFL player that's team decides to use the franchise tag on you. It'd be miserable. And I think with LeVar Arrington being as solid of a businessman he has, being as tough as he has, mentoring, perhaps, talking with Micah Parsons through this along with his agent, it does add up to, bro, you can't risk this. You can't go out here this year and play for $24 million and every single week, every single hit, you could possibly sustain the injury that takes away the ability to hit $200 million. You need to take your mind out of, I can't lose 50 grand for missing a day of practice, or I can't lose $1 million for a game. You got to take your mind to, I can't lose $200 million, right? And then all this piddly stuff will look like chump change to you. So, I guess I'm waiting for that development because it does make business sense to me that Micah and his agent should refuse to play for the Cowboys until there's pen on paper.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to take for Jerry Jones to take this seriously. Because
can I get you some more Jerry Jones real quick?
Let's do it.
Yeah, so the question is in here.
You talk about 30 years of these types of scenarios. Is there really nothing different about this one from the others?
Well, it's just that you've seen it so often, and you've seen it with other clubs. You go through the process. It's a highly sensitive time. When you're guaranteeing somebody almost $200 million, that's sensitive stuff.
Okay, so this thing is fascinating. Number one, New Bear, it's not any different. We've been through this. There's been holdouts. There's been a lot of testy words over the years. But the interesting thing about that is the breadcrumb, the Easter egg that Jerry left us. Thank you very much, Jerry. He told you what his offer was. It was $200 million. My belief, it'd be a 5-year extension on top of this one to bring a total compensation 6 years and $200 million roughly at 33. And if you're Micah and his agent, you would have to laugh at that. But at the same time, the Cowboys are playing their hand, so you have to respect it. He's worth, like just in that previous clip, what you're worth doesn't matter. What you're worth is about $45 million a year. But this 33 is actually 15% better than what we really could. So we're actually putting icing on this cake for you while we're ripping you off. It's a complicated negotiation, New Bear.
Yeah, the 15%, just a quick point, is really interesting because that is the $1 million equivalent that Myles Garrett got more than TJ Watt. Steelers can walk away. They have an out in year 4. TJ Watt's true extension is 3, 108, 100% guaranteed. I've been so focused on 3 versus 4 versus 5 years and what those guarantees might be. There are some average annual value, total money guaranteed, all the things, right? They only guaranteed about 72% of CeeDee Lamb's deal. And you start looking at this stuff and you go 136 and 100 million guaranteed and 38 million up front. It's complicated. There's so many different moving parts. And right now, to your point, 28 or 85 over 3 with the franchise tags into something like 33 over 5 or 6 is absolutely insane. When Myles Garrett got 40, TJ Watt got 41, and this dude is 5 and 6 years younger than both of them.
It is crazy, dude. Here's a little bit more from Jerry, refusing to speculate on where this is going to end.
Any of the stuff that you hear in the process of a negotiation, you can imagine I should take that for whatever.
Do you expect him to be on the field week 1?
Again, I don't want to talk about my expectations. Now, that is speculating, but I can speak to anything that's happened up until now, and that has no sensitivity.
Is it good to see him still at practice, so even though he made that demand, but he's still out here?
Well, I wish the back would get better.
You wish the back would get better. so the back is not what you think?
Again, I just said I wish the back would get better so we could not have a hurt back.
Don't want him to have a hurt back. This is brilliant, Jerry, just kind of trolling Micah, who's faking a back injury as his way of holding in. But he told you right there, all the stuff that I hear, I take it as whatever. What's happened, I have no sensitivity to it. He's just a cold, callous businessman who's, very confident at this point. Again, New Bear, the only way this changes is if Micah and his agents say, we're not playing again for you, buddy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see here for the next few weeks. We've seen, he keeps talking about over the last 30 years. I think one of the other breadcrumbs is that he is kind of subtly saying, I let Emmitt Smith wait until 2 weeks into the season. Who do you think you are, kid?
Yeah, and I think Emmitt Smith and Micah is a good comp for what kind of a winning impact those players would have. There's no way you're beating Philadelphia if you go out there without a Micah Parsons.
Well, look, before I could go into the 2 deep or even the 3 deep, depending on how much you love any of these different pass rushers, they got serious heat up front. Irregardless, any other words you want to make up that aren't words in the dictionary or not. None of those guys are Micah Parsons. Those guys combined aren't Micah Parsons. He affects every level. We could go deep. This is a whole separate pod of all the different X's and O's stuff that Micah does and other guys do not. But what is the most pressing thing relative to this conversation is that it took the guys inside. It took Charles Haley smashing a locker with his own helmet and them losing 2 games when they were trying to go for 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. It had to come from the inside out. So we've seen these guys go avatars. We've seen CeeDee Lamb get the thumbs going on the QWERTY board. What is it going to take for someone inside these rooms to say, Jerry, get this shit done?
Yeah, I think the players tried by showing support to Micah Parsons, but I don't know that anybody has stepped up and gone to Jerry and demanded it, and I don't think that he would listen. I think it was really the losing that got the Emmitt Smith contract done more than anything. No matter what the story says.
It's not 1-to-1. It's just one of those things where if we're going to talk about trails of breadcrumbs, if he's throwing out 200 to maybe light a fire under the trolls, I don't think he's throwing out 30 for no reason. It's not that, hey, we've been doing this for a long time and you've seen it happen before. It's that at the beginning of this run 30 years ago, it was number 1 all time. So you might have to wait your turn in line.
Well, I would love to believe that, this could head in a direction that Micah would demand out, but I think Jerry Jones has a lot of reason to believe that nobody is really going to intentionally leave. On the Micah Parsons trade request, he said, I would say to our fans, don't lose any sleep over this. Like he's telling you, as angry as the player gets, he hasn't seen any reason to believe that somebody would decide to leave. That's his ego about the star. And maybe he's dead balls on wrong. Maybe Jerry Jones has lost his fastball as he gets old, and he's sort of like Geezer in a delusion, pretending like he still knows what makes the world go around.
I do, because I think that's true. I feel like he's one of those guys who's thrown a four-seamer for 50 years, and all of a sudden he wants to work on a cutter just because, and he can't get it over the plate. This is a new generation. They're thinking about things in a completely different way. And one of the things that's the most interesting about this is there's other guys out there that still got to get paid. So if this thing with Micah, if there's nothing to see here and I wouldn't lose any sleep over it, what happens if Tyler Smith with his knee tendonitis comes running to the negotiating table? What happens if Deron Bland, watching Trevon Diggs struggle to get through workouts on the side, comes to the table and says, I'll take less? What happens if this other momentum not only builds around Micah Parsons and what he's not willing to do, but puts them in cap peril where there just isn't anything left?
Colbert's coming up. It's the Sunday show. How about wow? More Jerry Jones here. Explains why he doesn't like talking with agents anymore. Mentions Hall of Fame musician Jay-Z.
Why would you not talk to the agent? Since you're a must in the conversation, why would you yourself not talk to the agent?
Because the agent, when we have a problem within the team and a player, I don't ever find the agent. He's nowhere to be found. Okay. Jay-Z said that Micah would make all, not Micah, but that Dez would make all meetings. Jay-Z and I negotiated the contract. We spent hours negotiating the contract, Jay-Z. And he said, anybody in my organization is on time. So my office used to be on the street corner, and I've always been early. So they will be on time. I said, where did I sign? But I'm going to call you. Finally, he quit taking my call.
Well, Dez and Micah have different histories as far as
again, please. I'm just talking about the agent.
Yeah.
Don't take that to Micah and Dez. Just simply say that when the issues come up, the first one and the one that is there is us and the player. My experience hadn't been the agent is not the one that solves the problems you have when you're executing what you said you would do in the contract. So I like to deal directly with the player when it's of this nature.
So in March,
I think this is really interesting because it paints the picture of the Jones family relationship with agents and how they look at them, and only wanting to talk when it behooves them and their client, not wanting to help when other stuff is going on. And then I think you can add to that specifically with Micah Parsons, and he spelled this out on his own accord on his social media Thursday or Friday when he demanded this trade. Thursday, he and his agent decided we don't want to do the contract last year. We want to let other contracts like J.J. Watt and Myles Garrett get done to reset the market. So we'll get back to you. So if you're the Cowboys, you're like, okay, are we going to get this deal done? They're like, no. We want to do it in a while so we can get $6 million more. And then they come back and say, all right, we're ready for that deal now for $6 million more a year. You're like, so I just have to do this exactly when you want to by your timing? That's rich.
Well, there's certainly reasonable doubt between what Micah said he said and what Jerry said he said, and vice versa. And as we're talking about the dynasty and what might become the blueprint for, I think both sides are looking for the best of both worlds, meaning engagement farming throughout this unfinished business. And at the end of the day, we're just going to be saying everything is love when he signs on the dotted line. How's that for a run through the discography?
It's all love. If that's all this is for, then I just salute to them. I absolutely love it. I do think because Micah's personality, on and off the field is different. He is a lone wolf. He loves the city of Philadelphia, the state of Pennsylvania. He's embraced the star and all the brand awareness that comes along with it. But I think Micah is the guy to surprise the Cowboys and really want to leave. Des Bryant tweeted about it in all caps. Jerry Jones, I don't think it's smart to mention my name. I kept quiet about a lot of unfair bleep on some G stuff. We can have story time if that's what we are doing. Don't, Jerry. So he responded, and then you got a Roc Nation response. The claim that Mr. Carter or Roc Nation representatives did not return a call from Jerry Jones is not only a false statement, but it's also a comical one. So Jerry making a lot of enemies here. I think this is in the 48 laws of power, though. Court attention at all costs. Jerry's doing that big way.
Yeah, I mean, now that everyone's dropping bars and we're getting into this thing, I'm just wondering how far, like, once this is like the mafia, once you get into the star fam, then you become a part of the engagement farm. Just isn't Frisco and all the way to Oxnard. I mean, it's a global entity, right? I mean, this whole thing is so out of control, especially if at the end of the day, all we get is 200 divided by whatever it is. What will be really, really, really interesting is if you're right, like you were about the engagement farm in and of itself, and now that everyone's taken and running with that, is if this thing turns into a situation where it comes down to picks because people think that the time is ripe to pick one of the best players off their grapevine.
Yeah, there's where's this going to go? Okay, and speaking of that, our final chapter of this Micah Parsons topic tree, Micah trade proposals analyzing 3 potential offers for the Cowboys. This is John Machota of The Athletic just having fun here, right? It's not like we're insider reporting that these offers are on the table, just to make that clear, because I don't want to be guilty of engagement farming through BS trade proposals. But these are fun, New Bear. Which one of these would you do? Would you consider it fair value? The first one is with the Jets, Breece Hall, Jermaine Johnson. You get a running back and another edge, plus a 2026 second, 2027 second, a 2028 third for Micah Parsons. I know you do this. You love Breece Hall, bro. This is right up your alley.
I love Breece Hall. I mean, if he's healthy and he has any help, he's just dying to show the world that he's the most complete, the best RB in the whole league. This was really interesting when you said Jermaine Johnson at first. I actually forgot that he was coming off the Achilles because he's a former first rounder who at one time people saw as a top 5 guy who left Georgia to go to Florida State and was ACC defensive player there. I mean, he's a legit, but he's coming off the Achilles. And then you wonder, what is that burst and what does that career then look like? But fundamentally, we're talking about 2 2s, a 3, and you still got to go sign Breece Hall. Breece Hall comes into this team and does what we think George Pickens is going to do. He's going to cost as much as Micah Parsons is right now.
Yeah. But Breece Hall's only 24 years old. I don't know if this team considers itself right now a running back away, but if they do, Breece Hall be amazing. He's been pretty healthy.
That's a really, really good opener.
Yeah. Okay. The Bears send a 26-1, a 27-1, a 27-3, a 27-6 for Parsons, a 27-4, and a 27-7 are going back there. This is the deal that I'm actually most interested in right now because I think
basically the Khalil Mack deal all over again.
Yeah.
From the team.
That's a great trade. And I do consider, as I said, I think in yesterday's show or maybe Thursday night show, this also would allow you to keep George Pickens. So you got to look at it like all that you get isn't just Micah's gone. It's like, well, now you clearly have a path to keep Pickens and you got extra picks here to maybe draft a quarterback in the future. Like this could set you up to have a Dak succession plan. And if Micah's the ticket to that, maybe it could be Herschel Walker-esque with setting you up for a tremendous amount of success. I know that Dirty Dozen documentary is coming out. That's every great Cowboys season has started with an amazing draft pick. You'll learn about that here coming up a little bit later in the video. But let me get into this Green Bay trade. We said 25 minutes for the Micah stuff. You get a Packers 26-1, a Packers 27-1, and Romeo Doubs for Parsons.
I mean, the write-up here says it all, though. This isn't how you talked about Breece Hall's age being the most attractive thing of that deal. This is not how the Packers do business. They want to get younger. They want to stay younger. They want to hoard picks. They don't give away picks. So if you get the Packers in a situation where they're going to give up picks, you got to squeeze them for even more than that. Because that's the same deal as the Bears, and the Bears are going to be probably worse. So the picks are going to be better.
All right, it's How About Wow here with you. Hit the like, hit the sub if you are still on watching. I think maybe we've earned it. If not, that's cool though. Just tell us what you think in the comments down below. What you do differently or what you like.
Yeah, look, Dawson's not wearing a backwards hat today. We do pay attention to the comments. We try to get what they want.
And I need a haircut, boy. You're soldiering on. Salute to you if you've sat through this haircut the last couple of weeks. Okay, How About Wow brought to you by Bet Online. Sign up link in the description. Super easy to get money in and out. And they say that right here. fastest payouts guaranteed, A+ rating. They really set the industry standard for gaming integrity. BetOnline is amazing, especially in Texas. It can be hard to get a real online sports book. And, betting with a guy like a bookie, it's dangerous, flat out dangerous. Okay. So BetOnline offers an amazing poker room as well, cash games, horse races. You get it all over here. And you'll see why I love BetOnline so much. It's time. You want some plays of the weekend, buddy?
Dude, I love this. The Sunday show, the fact that we've been doing this to kind of inspire us to get right, toward the season when the games they're almost here. Like the Hall of Fame game was awesome just because it exists.
Okay, I'm going to shut up and let this go so we can hear how it goes down. Here's Dak to CeeDee. Did you see how he makes the adjustment? Watch this ball come into CeeDee here, bro. Incredible, the focus.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you? What did I tell you about the Pickens trade? The Pickens trade isn't just so CeeDee can keep going shallow and Pickens can take the top off. They're going to be interchangeable as this thing evolves. This is going to be fireworks for 18 weeks. Injury gods, prayers up.
Salute to Dallas Cowboys, by the way, Twitter account for posting that highlight. I feel like we need to do a better job, even though everybody rips off my ideas and our content about the Cowboys. We should do better in media. Here's some greatness of John Machota, who talk about plays of the day, and Micah Parsons.
This is crazy.
Grade the throw, New Bear. Mike's a pretty dang good athlete. I mean, his high school running back highlights are insane. Guy's a tremendous athlete, pretty good hooper as well.
Look, the end result is all I'm going to judge here. And he dropped the ball in the bucket. That form was god awful.
That was, yeah. It looked kind of like a baseball throw. What's that?
He looked like a ballerina. He looked like he was trying not to hurt the ball. I mean, he got some nice touch though. That was a good throw.
I thought I had Mike on the jugs machine as well, but I don't. Okay, let's go to a player here that I think's big because you got Kaiir Elam to kind of hit for you, and I think confidence about Kaiir Elam is at an all-time high. What about Kamon Hall in the slot, though? Here he was. Is this a PBU or a strip? It's kind of hard to tell. There's Jalen Cropper. Gets his pocket picked there by Kamon Hall, the slot corner.
Yeah, so just like we were talking about with Micah, what you're judging here is the end result. And what I love about this kid is he's just going to fight through the play. Cornerbacks got to have shorter memories than anybody. They got to flush stuff. They're going to give up catches. They're going to give up yards. They're going to get scored on. And then you just got to go out the very next time and just keep at it. When Mike Hilton came off the ball, there was like that collective groan, like that's the last true slot that, and we're waiting for those contract terms to be released to see what he got. But, as we continue to go through this, if he's going to keep showing up like that, we'll take it for 18 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, whatever it takes to make the play, and one of the great things about this camp is it's obvious they're not losing anything from Dan Quinn to Mike Zimmer now to Eberflus as far as the continuity around attack that football. And we're seeing just almost every player on the defense has a knack for a peanut punch.
Let's not sleep on the fact that Eberflus, DC, HBC, 7 years, 6 in the top 10. The worst was a 14. He had 3 top 5s and a number 2 finish. His whole deal is eyes on the ball so they can take it away.
Absolutely. Okay. Throw to Turpin here from Dak Prescott. This one's fun. Okay, now what I'm watching for is something that was a story last week, New Bear, and Shoddy was trying to coach it out of him after the first weekend of training camp. He's jumping to catch and then landing and then looking to make his move where Shoddy's coaching guys to not jump, just take that ball and make a move with it. And, since that happened, I haven't seen any more jump to receive from Kevontae Turpin. But what we have continued to see is the coaching staff continue to install plays for him in the playbook.
So there's 2 reasons, right? The first one being his size, and he wants to make sure that he's not having someone beat him to the ball. But then what happens is a play pops up like it did in practice last week where he feels like he has to elevate because he's small, and the ball basically hits him in the face mask and bounds away, and that's what you see on Twitter. And I think all Shoddy is saying to him is, you are so damn fast that you're gonna be open. Catch the ball and then go put a move on a dude, right? So he's hitting circle instead of triangle. We just got him in a different part of the sticks, man.
Yeah. I mean, as a soccer guy, I see this all the time with players wanting to receive and kind of jump and then turn. And it's mostly the fast ones with like prize fighter reflexes, because what they want to do is they want to size up the defender and then judge where you're flowing and juke off of that. Right. And what it does is it ends up making you predictable because you're receiving and turning and stopping every single time. Well,
right.
50% of the time you could just get it and keep going. It prevents the defender from getting a beat on you. And if you are this fast, stopping is actually letting them off the hook.
Well, and what did George Pickens tell us? He was all about late hands, because you never want to give that defender the opportunity to play in your space. Like, even if you don't beat him clean, you can still win because you're late. Right. And you always talk about being late. That's like the worst thing in the world. As a receiver, it's one of the best things you can do.
More plays of the weekend. How about Dak Domingo?
I don't think you threw it up on the big screen, buddy.
Oh, my bad. My bad. Dawson, what are you doing? It's Dak Domingo.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a jump catch. Maybe he had to do it. Maybe he didn't. But that's just good offense in the middle of the field, and you need a ton of reliable targets.
So do you know what that looks like?
What's that?
That looks like Y stick from a tight end. Get that boy in the protein shake line. No, but all kidding aside, you know what I love to see about this? Dak is continuing to play where in the pocket and to do what? Deliver the ball on time and on target. Like, all the fun stuff that we had with Dak going 70 and finishing out these RPOs or these run action extended looks with having some fun with the crowd on Heroes Day. Like, that's fine if you're feeling good on Saturday and it's practice and you got a red jersey on. This stuff where he's doing it from within the pocket with Pickens and GP and Fergie and now Mingo and Turpin, you're talking about size, speed, length, and all these traits. We put them all on display. Why? Because Dak is healthy. Why? Because he's clean in the pocket.
I love it, man. I'll drink to that. Get some cold beers going here on a Sunday show. How about wow? We talked yesterday on our way to the airport, or right before we left the hotel for the airport, about the 8 players that had impressed us the most and maybe had a chance to be difference makers. And one of them was Maris Leofau, who we got a clip of right here with little peanut on a CeeDee. Got him. Was that a fumble? I don't know. Maybe it was a fumble. Did he make a football move? Yeah. I think we're going to have to.
You're in the replay booth. You're in the replay booth.
Can Leofau be a guy that maybe takes Sanborn off the field or allows you to dream of not playing Kenneth Murray Jr. much? I think these veterans are here to raise the floor, but we need somebody to attack the ceiling in the linebacking room.
And you are just off. You are just off on Kenneth Murray Jr. I thought Sanborn looked really good and was going through the drills with his hair on fire, and was just, a guy that, again, with Eberflus and knowing the system from Chicago, he's going to be a guy that is going to be exactly where he's supposed to be. The problem is, can he get there before the dude that he's guarding, right? The thing about Leofau that's interesting is, like, he's 4'6'4", right? Sanborn's 4'7'2". So does knowing the system and does being able to not have to think and be able to play as fast as you can play, even if it's a little bit slower, is that make you a better player on Sunday because you just know the scheme? Because, we're talking about 4'6'4" versus 4'7'2", and then the play speed, all things being equal, knowing what you're going to do. So I don't know. He's a real interesting kid, and he's another dude who just plays his ass off. And the thing that you have to love to see is that this 53-man roster is going to be really, really hard. There's going to be some NFL guys, not just practice squad guys. There's going to be guys who end up making plays for other teams that do not make this one.
Who's your new favorite Cowboy after spending a week in Oxnard? New Bear?
I mean, it's my old favorite Steeler. I mean, Pickens is just one of those dudes that's so special to watch. But in terms of like Cowboys, when you're talking about that, you're rooting for, guys like Javonte Williams who have had devastating injuries to come back.
I wanted to stop on Pickens because he had this great quote talking about the different kind of touchdowns that he had this week, and he flat out went off on Wednesday and Thursday. Says it's super fun, the different plays, more air efficient playbook. He said on his confidence, I love this line. I'm super confident already. Falling in line. I'm not really here to overdo the confidence. I'm just here to hop on the train and just keep going with what they have been doing. So everything's been perfect.
This is the guy who played at Georgia. You go to Georgia, you're not getting 100,000 million balls. You go to Georgia, you got to do things a certain way, and then when your number gets called, you make the play. This is a guy who isn't afraid to compete. He's not afraid of CeeDee. He wants to embrace that, and then he wants to go use what he can do, what Fergie can do, what they can all do together for Dak to go win the Super Bowl. That's all this guy wants to do. If he gets the ball, he's going to make the play. If CeeDee does, he's going to be the first one down in the end zone, giving him a bear hug. Thank you for stopping me from going down the rabbit hole. I was literally about to go position by position and give you a whole bunch of stuff. Look, coming back to Pickens, though.
Do that in a separate vid.
Dude, he is just – when you – to see him – in that jersey hurts a little bit because you wanted to see that joy here in Pittsburgh. And for that to not come to fruition and to kind of make excuses on his way out the door because you have to trust that the team is doing the right thing for them. Well, two things can be true at the same time, right? What one man's trash, another man's treasure, whatever other line you like best. And the thing about it is, if he is someone who doesn't fit for the Steelers, but he fits because of culture, quarterback, system, and the way that they're going to do business a little bit differently, then the Steelers can move on and they can do what they did with DK and others, maybe Terry McLaurin. Wow, talk about trades. But the Cowboys have put themselves in a position to get a guy who's a top 5 talent who only fell to the second round because he had an ACL injury, who's been mercurial at best, to literally go have Randy Moss type PlayStation numbers next to CeeDee Lamb. And oh, by the way, let CeeDee Lamb be the best version of himself. And oh, by the way, let Dak not feel like he has to do everything on his own. And oh, by the way, like it just keeps building and keeps going. And it's all momentum-based conversation because of what George Pickens himself is capable of bringing to this team.
Incredible, and I just hope they can get a long-term deal done with him as well and find a dominant running game and great protection for Dak. And I really believe this team could win a Super Bowl by the time Dak Prescott is done retiring. But I think it really does start with keeping Pickens. Okay. What does Stephon Gilmore mean from this cryptic tweet this afternoon?
You thought this was a blazer. I was about to send you bifocals from Walgreens or something, dude.
Yeah, I didn't know exactly what it was, and I had to bring it up on the desktop and then improve the font or continue to magnify it over here. This is a plus 200, by the way. I still am not sure, but it's been explained to me that this is a blue bubble coat, was popular in the 90s with the hip hop and everything. And I would think that would mean it's a northern city in blue. This eliminates the Cowboys. I think this is the Patriots.
Yeah, I originally, just based on the color, went, and because he's been in Carolina and he's from Carolina and he went to Carolina. So, like, I think Carolina Panthers is first up. And then I was also looking at, like, could that be powder blue? Could Jim Harbaugh be calling from long distance? And you're talking about Gilly Lock, getting to put another jersey on his haul, on his potential
New York Giants. I mean, that would look nice in New York.
It's too baby blue, though. Even their throwbacks are navy.
But you don't have a full closet of colors palettes in your GIFs or your emojis, right? You just kind of got to go with the closest thing. Communicates the idea. It's a blue team in a cold weather climate, New Bear.
A blue team in a cold weather climate. I mean, so wait, so you're saying if it could be any color blue and it could be navy, it could be Chicago. Like, what are we doing here? It's Carolina, it's San Diego, it's maybe Dallas. Tennessee was another one because that's an alternate color for them. None of these teams are north. Well,
as Stephen Jones told me last week, we're just going to have to agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
No one else can tell you.
The leader in the clubhouse is Carolina because he's probably right down the street.
Hey, new documentary coming soon. I hope we don't get a copyright flag for this because it's pretty badass. I'm going to turn up the volume too and
you're going to do it anyway.
This is the Dirty Dozen coming from the DallasCowboys.com folks who are just freaking goated with their ability to do Cowboys history and video. Here we go.
Well, I think there's a lot of people saying, the Cowboy dynasty is gone. the Cowboys and Gilbrandt were still ahead of the league in scouting talent.
I had no idea I was going to be coming to Texas.
He's the best player. He should have went first.
I didn't think I was going to get drafted, really.
The very fact that 12 made it for a head coach who did not really want to play rookies makes it one of the best.
We went to 3 Super Bowls our first 4 years.
The guy had rare ability.
For your rookie season and go to the Super Bowl, you can't do much better.
We just drafted you as a Dallas Cowboy.
Shoot, yeah, boy. That's August 7th. That's in just a couple of days. And this is, for those that don't know, Randy White, 9-time Pro Bowler, Hall of Fame, 3-time first-team All-Pro, Ring of Honor. Herbert Scott, 2-time first-team All-Pro, Ring of Honor guard, 3-time Pro Bowler. Hollywood Henderson, the linebacker. Bob Brunig, a linebacker, 117 starts. Borderline, a Ring of Honor guy for a while. Pat Donovan, a tackle, 4-time Pro Bowler. And then, some role player type of guys. So, I mean, it just puts a spotlight on how all that went in the 70s and what set the tone there going into the 80s and really the last stand for Landry.
Can I just tell you that I always get the biggest kick out of names and, like create a player mode on your whatever your favorite video game, whether you're a Madden guy or a college guy. And I always, you see things pop up. I just think it's crazy that there's 2 dudes in the Dirty Dozen, and one of them is Laidlaw, and then the next guy is Lawless. So you got literally one dude who's the sheriff and the other dude who's the villain. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, that's the most Texas thing ever, bro. It was ordained.
Let's go.
Okay, speaking of going, open practice tomorrow, joint practice Tuesday against the Rams, preseason opener Saturday. It is about to go down. Until then, how about wow?